here for round 7 at the German Hockenheim circuit, which is a really good circuit. I'm here, next to me is Adam. Hello Adam.
Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well on this fine Sunday, and we have got a great day of racing in store for you. Matthias, tell them what they've got to look forward to for today.
I think they have a good race ahead of them. The championship leader Plausible is racing. Yes, he is, after he missed last round where LR Compassion won his first race of the season with a dominant victory in the Circuit of the Americas. And I think there's going to be plenty of action. There's chance of rain even in this race. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. With 18 drivers, we have only one driver in the Haas, one in the Racing Point, and some guys didn't pick a team yet. But yeah, I think we are in for a lot of good action here in the German circuit.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mix-up with the roster from the last race in the US Grand Prix, must be said. Of course, it was International Mother's Day, so some of the drivers, of course, had their priorities right. They chose to spend their time with their mothers, as I'd very much agree with that logic. And of course, one of those in particular, Matthias, was our championship leader, Plausible, who had a commanding lead in the championship, which has been cut down now by Compassion with his first victory, the third winner of formerly EuroLeague Division 2. The gap at the top of the championship is now down to only 46 points. Please excuse me. No, it's less than that, sorry. What am I saying? It's 36 points. I've almost forgotten how to math. 36 points, so it's still a commanding lead for Plausible, but Compassion, in particular with that victory, quite dominant in the rain in the US, really raised a few eyebrows amongst the pecking order. So definitely going to have a few questions to ask to Plausible to see if he can hold on to that lead and see if he can carry on where he left off. Of course, won 4 of the first 5 races he competed in, so it'll be interesting to see if our championship leader can continue that form. Of course, he still needs to join the lobby from what I can. Unless I've missed him. There he is. So he is in the lobby. And
yeah, he is.
But of course, what's important to mention, Matthias, there are a few standout performances from one Nick Pancras, who is driving with the Red Bull team this weekend. A brilliant performance from him in the Ferrari. Managed to get himself a seat with the Red Bull team for this week, so hopefully he'll be able to continue where he left off in that previous race, getting a podium last time at the US Grand Prix. Looking at the situation in the Constructors' Championship, Matthias, it's a lot more cut and dry at the moment. It's a 52-point gap between Ferrari and Red Bull, but of course with Compassion and Nick Pancras in the Red Bull, that could make things very interesting, because one thing Ferrari have seemed to not really get a hold of, as well as having a brilliant number 1 in Plausible, their number 2 driver, TTV iQuicks, only 1 point for him this season. And of course, Nick Pancras scored the other points in the Constructors' Championship for Ferrari with that 3rd place finish in the US Grand Prix. So it must be said, Red Bull, Matthias, if they can keep this form up with 2 solid drivers in Compassion and Nick Pancras, there's every opportunity they could win the Constructors' Championship from Ferrari, although at the moment, Ferrari's still looking very, very like the favourites for this championship.
Yeah, they still are. We still have a couple of rounds to go. We have 4 rounds left after this one, so the championship won't take too long anymore. But I think we still have some good battles for 2nd and maybe even 1st place. Yeah, the battle is really close for 5th. Bendel and FVL Freeze on the same amount of points, with Matthias Gamer on 37 points, so 1 point behind them. Then you have Alex with 30 points, so that's really close. And then you have a good small gaps between the other drivers outside the top 10, so I think we'll have a good race. Already 11 viewers, Jesus. T3 driver here. I think we can ready up and have some good action here on the one of my favorite circuits to drive, but I'm not really good at it.
Well, no, it's important to point out, Matthias, the race that was took place yesterday, the formerly EuroLeague Tier 3 race in Australia. If you haven't seen that, make sure to check that out on the YouTube channel, which is Formula_Euro_League for Tier 3 of Formula Euro League, which started last night. And I'll tell you what, really good piece of commentary from our commentator in Tier 3. Did a good job there for their opening race, and there was a lot of competition in that grid as well. So
Yeah.
definitely good to see some of the more junior drivers in that category showcasing their skills and perhaps putting themselves into contention for a potential seat in Formula EuroLeague Tier 2 and maybe Tier 1 eventually, of course. So great to see the league expanding. And of course, one thing we should announce, this is our first race on Twitch as well for Formula EuroLeague Tier 2. We have now finally moved over to the Twitch channel. And for those of you that will be watching this on the YouTube channel in the coming days when that's put out, you can join us for the races live on Twitch on normal time, and that is twitch.tv/Formula_Euro_League. Make sure to follow us on Twitch, and of course, if you watch us on YouTube, that's absolutely fine. The videos will be uploaded a day or two after that on the YouTube channel Formula_Euro_League. So make sure to check those out. And of course,
and we're starting.
Yeah, make sure to get involved in the chat as well on Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, let us know in the stream chat for Formula_Euro_League. Say hello. We'll be reading some out as the session goes on. But it is time for qualifying, Matthias.
Yeah. I think if Plausible is in good form, I think he can dominate it once again. But I think the field has been closing up. Avesta Racing in P3 in the standings has done a really good job the last couple of races. Let me nail this. And this, yeah, as you said, we're now on stream and on Twitch. It's new to me. I think it's also new to you. But I think it's a good addition to the league. And yeah, as you said, the races will be re-uploaded at the YouTube channel. So if you don't follow us on Twitch, no worries. You can still check it out on the YouTube channel. But yeah, first we have a Tier 2 race to do. And tonight we have the season opener of Tier 1. So that's going to be an interesting one too. So make sure to check that one out at the same Twitch channel as you're watching right now. And that is at 7:45 European time and 6:45 on UK time. And there's Alfa Romeo going out.
Yes, that's absolutely right. So it's FEL_Freeze, the first man out in qualifying for Tier 2 German Grand Prix here in Formula Euro League. So Matthias, coming back to the main action, FEL_Freeze. Is that a pretty standard season so far?
Yeah, raced since.
And he scored a fair number of points, currently sitting 6th in the championship, tied on points with Ben Dell, who won the British Grand Prix. And of course, Ben Dell once again not with us for this race. So it's almost as if
he'd given up.
I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what's happened with him. Has he moved to the top? Well, we'll find out tonight if he has. He may have been given a seat for the top division, I'm not sure. But as you can see, Matthias, one thing to point out, some drops of rain.
Oh yeah, drops of rain.
Already. So as you can see, a lot of the drivers now will have to come out and set their laps early. And you can see if there's anybody
I would do it on the
track,
softs.
Yeah, so this is the concern here. You can see Compassion. I mean, the graphic is not showing it, but he's on the harder tyres, Compassion, and you can see some droplets of rain already.
Yeah, same for Freeze. I have here the tyres on my screen, so a lot of guys on the hard, so I think they picked the wrong tyre, but they're still going to set a lap time. It won't be a good lap time in my head, I think, so.
Well, there is an incentive for this, Matthias. I mean, whilst I believe that this could be dangerous, given that the favourable tyre would be the soft to medium for the strategy for the race that follows immediately after this, if you're able to set a time fast enough and early enough before the weather makes it impossible to set a dry time, you might get away with starting the race on the hard tyres.
Everyone is invalidating this one.
Oh, it's the outlap for a lot of drivers.
Yeah, well, Luke Burns, FEL_Freeze, and some other guys already invalidated in turn 1, but Levi Vogelaar 4 didn't, so we'll go more with him what he can do. In his house, he's new. I have some rumors he's in talking with Mercedes about the reserve seat in tier 1, so but can't really tell you too much as he is on his lap entering sector 2. So no, he's already quite long in sector 2. I'm not so good with sectors. He's almost at the end of sector 2.
Well, FEL Freeze has encountered a lot of traffic on this outlap, and he's gone straight into the pits. Not happy about that. I mean,
I think it's kind of where Vettel bottled it in 2018 in the Saxon Kurve, where Levi Vogelaar just got through. What can he do on his hard compound in the Haas? It's good enough for a 1:14.068. I can't tell you if that's a good lap, but Collie breaks it by almost over a second.
Well, I was expecting pole position, Matthias, to be at least in the 111s, maybe a high 110 if someone's really on it, but at the moment, it seems that it's going to be raining, so it's going to be very
Nick
difficult.
Pankos has traffic on his lap. He's getting blocked in the last corners by Tier2 Iquakes. Got a lot of dirty air, but he still gets provisional pole, but it's not a good lap on the soft tires, but I think he can still improve.
It is a little bit slippery.
Yeah, but he got blocked in sector 3.
No, of course, but some of the drivers not really able to lay it down as quickly. But what's important, Matthias, to mention is because of the weather at the moment, it's not necessarily about nailing the quickest time you possibly can. It's getting a time in as soon as you can. And some of the drivers that are coming into the pits now to put on a new set of tyres may not have the opportunity to go out and set a representative time by the time they come back out. So Nick Pankos of the 1:12.12, don't be surprised if that
goes fourth.
is anywhere near the pole.
Vesta now crossing the line in provisional pole. He got a good lap on those softs.
That's a good lap. I think also important, Luke Burns has a 1:13.0 to put him into 5th position, but don't forget, for the race tomorrow, of course, if they set these times on the tyres that they're on, those will be the tyres that they start the race. It's only until you get into wet tyre territory where you have a free choice of tyre, if of course the race is dry. And of course it's a 50% race for those of you new to Formula Euro League, 50% race after this. So it'll be interesting to see what people can do at the moment, because for those drivers that are going into the pits, as Killer 7 pulls over to the grass on the hairpin, which is quite the obstruction in some regards to get out of the way, but he hasn't obstructed anyone's lap, fortunately.
Near Roy Boy 004 is entering the final part of the circuit now. 2 corners to go, 2 tricky corners as we saw in the real life 2019 Grand Prix. Lots of drivers got taken out by that one, but here Roy Boy goes to P6, and I think he could be happy with that medium lap.
Yeah, not a bad effort from Roy Boy. I mean, the track is starting to get a bit more difficult to drive on at the moment, so it's a little bit slippy. At the moment, still nowhere near wet enough to consider putting on wet tyres, although at this point, if you haven't done a time, if you've done a time on the dry tyres and it gets too slippery to do another time, you're better off just leaving it for the rest of the session, because you're not going to improve. One driver that does need to improve, Ice-T in 11th position at the moment on medium
coming
tyres.
through the final corner.
He's going to come across some traffic. Killer 7, I mean, Killer 7 I can understand going slow, but you really need to get a move on. He's been absolutely crawling towards the pit lane as Ice-T having to avoid him, and he's going to have to come through the final corner. This is going to be an improvement on his previous time, but he's going to have to really put his foot down to get himself up the order, and he goes 7th fastest, so an improvement from Ice-T, but that is the second lap that he's done on those medium tyres. And I think, as I was saying earlier about the strategy seems to be between a soft medium or a medium hard for this race. I mean, a lot more drivers might favour the mediums if they can get into the top 10. If you are 11th and below, you may favour that strategy as well. It's a one-stopper no matter what you do, but you have more flexibility with the medium tyres. Hence why you can see...
it's going to rain really hard now. Some guys are already retiring, so I think it's an early qualifying session, which is quite a bit of a shame, to be honest.
No, you're absolutely right, and as you can see, some drivers in particular, one who looks like they might have got it nailed on, Pleasurable, 8th fastest on the harder tyres, and because of that he's going to be able to start the race on the hard tyres, which will be a huge advantage to him with strategy. However, he will have 7 cars, or he's now down to 9th there as
Compassion.
Another lap's just come through. Compassion going 7th fastest, who's retired from the section himself. So qualifying could be over very, very soon, guys. Of course, 3 cars, not at a time. FBL3's not set a time. Kerem in the Mercedes in the pits, and so is Bjorn in the other Renault.
Oh, Levy is a bit struggling with the grip here and there. It's starting to rain harder and harder, so he is probably the one who is the last one to set a good lap in with his soft tires, or maybe, I know iQuicks is behind him, I think, and I think he's too far away to set a good lap time. As it's starting to rain harder and harder, as Levy abandons his lap, as we'll just then go on board with Tier2 iQuicks. He is still improving this lap. Can he hold on to it? I don't think. Maybe he can. It's difficult on those medium tires. Not the best grip, but it's one of my favorite. Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to say, but he is now entering the final section of the track, which is a tricky one, especially in those conditions where you can easily misjudge your braking point and go into the gravel trap, as he's really struggling for traction at some point. Now coming around the final corner, it's good enough for an improvement, but not good enough for a place improvement, as Kerem is going on an out lap.
Well, for Kerem, the incentive for him is to go out and set a fast time. Of course, right now the slowest time recorded is by Tier2 iQuicks in the Ferrari 1:15.5. Not sure if Kerem's going to be able to beat that, considering how much the track is getting worse, but he will be able to start 16th, so there is an incentive for him to go out and do a lap. Even if it's a 7-minute lap, he'll still start 16th on the grid at the worst. And of course, LR_Bjorn in the sister Renault to IST, sitting dead last. There's every reason for him to go out and do a lap as well, because even if it's just one grid position, sometimes it might not be a bad idea just to go out and do a lap. Even if it's on the intermediates, it doesn't matter. As long as he gets a lap in, he'll improve. Yeah. As Kerem's now about to start his flying lap. So let's see how Kerem does. I'm happy to just walk you through the lap now. So he's coming down into turn 2. He usually would shift down into, he's held it in 3rd gear, so there is still some traction. He's able to hold on to it very nicely there, very minimal input on the steering wheel, but now it comes down the long straight. You really want to hug that long left-hander like your favourite grandma all the way down to the hairpin section, which will be the area where you'll see the most overtakes. Usually shift it down into 4th and then shift it down into 1st as you rotate the car to get the best exit. Kerem's left it in 2nd gear, probably just to improve the traction to get low revs, and now he all the way up long straight. It's a right-hander, but you can really do that full throttle. Oh, and he's locked his brake massively coming into the corner there. And now we go all the way up his left and then right. Normally you'd have your foot planted down, but these conditions are very difficult. He's got Killer 7 in front of him, who's controlled with the AI, who's going to get in the way. He's not going to be able to move out of the way, which is going to be a real problem for Kerem. He does get out of the way in the end. Now he moves into the stadium section. You want to hug it tight on the right-hand side. Watch for that oversteer as Kerem gets a huge amount of it. Now coming into the nice flowing section, it's almost a double apex. Leave it to right, don't go too wide, there's literally no grip on that left hand side, and then fall on the throttle, coming across the line now, and Kerem does a 1:16.8. Not a bad lap, fairly tidy-ish, but in the conditions, I'm not surprised to see him set the slowest time, but at least he improves and will start ahead of FBL3's and LR Bjorn, and that could be the last representative time we see for qualifying, Matthias.
Yeah. Well, 5 minutes of what? Pluisebos out on the lap, but he abandoned it, probably because the weather is too, commentary has got an echo to it. Maybe it's fixed now, I don't know, my microphone is a bit old, so I have to buy a new one soon.
Yeah, unfortunately there's not much we can do about that at the moment. I have had some issues with echoing before, and obviously my TV is muted and everything else, so you can only really hear what's going on, unfortunately. Yeah. So I do apologise about that. Yeah, Pluisebos on the medium tyres here. He looks like he's warming up to try and set a time, but I don't even think even he's going to be able to improve on a 1:13.3, and he goes into the pit lane, Pluisebos, so not going to be able to set a time as Levi Vogelaar, Vogelaar, I should say, Levi
Vogelaar. Yeah.
That's a tongue twister if I ever saw one. He's out on the soft tyres and trying to improve on 12th position, but
yeah, he's punted
as I said, yeah, it's losing all grip at the moment, so looks like it's going to be the end of qualifying, but quite a bit of a mix-up. I mean, Avesta racing on pole position at the moment, Matthias, so that's a good time for him. Avesta's been a fairly solid qualifying. I think he'll be very happy to qualify on the pole, currently sitting third in the Drivers' Championship. So it'll be a good start for him. Of course, Collie doing a good job in fourth, Killer 7 third. Must be said, personal best in qualifying for Luke Burns, right up there in 5th place. The man who loves a 12th place finish this season, already scored 3 or 4 of them, puts his Alfa Romeo on 5th position. So great job for him. As I said before, you don't necessarily have to be the fastest driver, but if you get out early enough and set a good time, you'll find yourself a lot higher up the grid than you normally would be. Of course, LR Compassion, one of our qualifying specialists, only down in 7th position. Plajabol on the harder tyres, of course, but he will start 9th. Ice-T,
Yeah.
managed to get it. Was on the pole for the US Grand Prix, down in 10th position on the medium tyres. So
Oui.
as we come towards the end of qualifying, guys, just rounding through the order now. We've got Mattis Gamer at the moment in the McLaren. We've also got CTV iQuicks coming out as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if they dive into the pit lane now. So unfortunately, guys, that's the end of qualifying, though. Let me know who you think is going to win this race. Of course, quite a mixed up roster for the grid. It's what we would normally expect, but let us know who you think is going to win this race.
With qualifying session, so I don't know if it's going to rain in the race. We'll see I think a chaotic race, and I think some guys can be surprisingly good in those conditions as yeah. I think if we all retire, we can save ourselves some time.
Yeah, we've still got... Well, that's okay. I mean, we can pass the time for the next couple of minutes, Matthias. So, just a bit of a background of this circuit, guys. Been on the F1 calendar in its current format since 2002. Of course, the Hockenheim circuit's been on the Formula 1 calendar for many years, where it used to be the long straights going into the forest. But since it was redesigned and revamped in 2002 to its current format, one of the more popular circuits in Canada. It's hosted some great races in Formula 1 of recent years. 2.8 mile circuit. Normally would be 67 laps, but of course it's a 50% race, so I'm expecting around 33, 34 laps this time, of course. And it's usually going full throttle for around 53.5% Matthias. So it's a very technical circuit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of areas where drivers will be tested on their technical ability and the way that they handle the car and the steering input, throttle input, all of those that come into the equation, especially at the hairpin, which is one of the areas where you can really make up time if you've got it hooked up. Really need to make sure that exit is really on point. And of course, there are 2 DRS sections on this track. You've got the rundown from turn 1 to turn 2, and of course the rundown from turn 4 all the way to turn 6, although turn 5, the long left-hander, really isn't a turn in my mind, but it is classed as one nonetheless. 17 turns in all, and of course a racetrack that has seen many brilliant races in the past, most notably, Matthias, last season's German Grand Prix, which was absolute chaos.
Yeah.
Which was eventually won by Max Verstappen last season, and it was to be a test. So, Matthias, what are you expecting to see in this race? Which drivers in that field are you expecting to give us the most action?
Who do you think Plausible from 9th place with Ice-T behind him. I think they're going to fight themselves up to the front of the field. Think maybe we can see Avesta winning his first race. Killer 7 and Luke Burns scoring some good points for the first time. Yeah, Matthias starting in 13th, Cam in 16th, Fries and Björn in last 2 spots on the grid available. And Compassion as well, as he won the last race. I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see what will happen. Yeah.
Well, I think one driver that's caught my eye in qualifying today is Killer 7 in 3rd position. Of course, he set his time very early, as qualifying has just finished now, so we should be able to get the race underway very, very soon, guys. But yeah, Killer 7 up there in 3rd position. Great job from him. Nick Pancras, another great qualifying from him, of course, getting those times in early. And Killer 7 in particular does need to try and get those points in, of course. hasn't scored any points this season.
No,
But that is qualifying,
no,
guys.
go ahead.
So just to round off the top 10 guys, a really disruptive qualifying session owing to rain. It's a Vesta Racing on pole position for Williams once again. Great job from Nick Pancras continuing that great form in the US Grand Prix in second. Killer 7th, third. Collie 4th. Luke Burns, personal best for the season for him in 5th position. Roy Boy 6th in Racing Point. Compassion, race win in the US Grand Prix, only 7th. MDJ comes 2nd in the US Grand Prix, 8th for Racing Point. Pleasure Bowl, championship leader, returns to us only 9th, but will start on the harder tyres. And Ice-T rounding off the top 10. Pole position in the US Grand Prix only starts in 10th position on the medium compound, so quite a mix of strategies and tyre compounds to see. But of course, if the race is dry or if it's wet, we should be looking for an exciting race with a very mixed up grid.
Yeah, there has been a bit of a discussion in the info chat about the restart. I don't know why you should restart it. Why would you?
Well, there's absolutely no need to restart the session or anything like that.
It's been a chaotic qualifying session. Yes, so happens in real life.
Although the screen is saying it's migrating the host, so I'm a bit concerned as to what that is going to involve. We'll just have to wait and see, guys, so do bear with us for a couple of moments, as we're about to get underway for the Formula EuroLeague Tier 2 German Grand Prix, round 7 of the Formula EuroLeague Tier 2 season, and we'll have to wait and see how this mixed up grid is going to create, hopefully, an otherwise fantastic race as we're about to get underway.
Yeah, Adam, do you have a question of the week, maybe?
Let's see, I'll have to have a quick think about it, but just bear with me one moment. I noticed that Pleasure was mentioned, do you have to pick the same tyres as in qualifying? Well,
yeah.
If
in here in the top 10.
Normally, if you're in the top 10, for those who are unfamiliar to Formula 1, from what I understand of the rules, but of course it looks like we're going to have to start a new session, guys, because I see a lot of people dropping out, unfortunately. So, which is a shame, but I believe we may have to do a custom grid on this one, so we might have to wait and see.
It's not really good. Why do we restart? Oh my god, I don't understand it. Why would you restart?
So do bear with us, guys. Of course, once we get back underway, we will let you know what's going on. Of course, it seems a lot of drivers are leaving the session because it looks like we're going to have to restart. I'm not quite sure why. At the moment.
Oh!
As you can see, look, there's 4 cars at the moment, so we'll just watch them.
Oh my god, what a race!
Run around.
I'm feeling a bit like the 2000-something American Grand Prix, where you only have a couple of guys on the grid.
So, Pleasurable in the chat is actually asking the guys, the softs in the top 10, do they have to pick the softs for the race? Well, yeah, it's a good question. As far as I understand from the rules, in regular qualifying, if you set your times in dry running on the dry tyres, you have to start those tyres for the race. Now, of course, if the race is wet, then of course you have free choice of tyre. But with that in mind, even if it comes wet later on, you should be able to start. If you've done some dry running, you should be able to start on those same tyres. Of course, now if the race is allowing
I got a new invite.
If the game is allowing you to pick a different set of tyres, then by all means that should be absolutely fine. I don't think we can be in a position to enforce that. Of course, now we need to move into another lobby, guys, so bear with us.
Yeah.
If you've got an opportunity, grab something to eat, maybe grab a hot drink for a couple of minutes, and then be ready to rejoin us when we start the next session. Of course, I'm still waiting for an invite, so...
I'll invite you.
So bear with us, guys. We're going to be making a custom grid for this session. Not quite sure what happened there. Just bear with us and we'll get underway very, very soon.
Are you in the session?
Yeah, I'm in the session.
Okay, good. Yeah, hopefully we can start anytime soon.
So what's happening, guys, at the moment? We're not quite sure as to why the lobby had to be restarted, I'm afraid, but we're going to be going straight to the race. And of course, we'll be having a custom grid, but because of that, we may need to set some etiquette. So what's going to be interesting, Matthias, is I'm hoping that this isn't the case, but I think with Plagebol's question, the issue at hand now is because we're in a new lobby, a lot of the, similar to what was happening in the US, a lot of the drivers are going to be asking, will they get a free choice of tyre, or will they have to select the tyres that they qualified on? I'll be honest with you, that's something that all of the drivers are going to have to be made aware of by the admins or the hosts of the session to tell them to choose the tyre that they qualified on. But because of that, it's going to be very hard to enforce. So I wouldn't be surprised if everybody now has free choice of strategy at this point. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't really know, I just have to. I was a bit distracted reading the chat stuff, so with some guys saying questions and some guys also in the F2 chat is a bit chaotic right now with, oh, why do we restart, why do we do this, just do it.
Well, we're not sure why the session is being restarted, guys, but what we do know is that because of this, similar to in US, there's going to be an opportunity now for everyone to start on probably whatever tyres that they want to start on, and obviously have a free choice of setup. Of course, we don't know what the weather conditions are going to be. Of course, it said it's custom, so it's going to be preset by the lobby host.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see to see what they choose. But it's going to be interesting to see now that with drivers having that free choice of tyre and free choice of strategy that we're aware of, what they're going to choose. Of course, it does seem the most popular strategy, one-stop medium to hard tyres seems to be the popular choice. However, you can do a soft medium or a soft hard. But then I wouldn't be surprised if some of the drivers pick the harder tyres, which gives them more options later on in the race.
Yeah, okay, I think we're starting almost, so we'll just have to wait a minute. Yeah, I just want to start. I hope it won't delay that long. Too long.
You okay there, buddy? Did you get much sleep last night?
No, not well, not too much. Didn't get a coffee today. Wow.
Fair enough.
But I'm good enough for the stream, and I'm really looking forward to the race, even it's been delayed by quite a bit, but that's not too big of a problem.
Okay, so we're about to get underway, guys, for the German Grand Prix, the Formula EuroLeague Tier 2 German Grand Prix. Of course, if you are new to us, you'll see our streams are live on Twitch now, as we've moved over from YouTube to put these streams on Twitch, and that is twitch.tv/Formula_Euro_League, where you'll be able to see all of the races from Formula EuroLeague, Top Division, Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3. All on the Twitch channel live, and of course if you're watching this on YouTube, the races will be put on that YouTube channel a couple of days later, so you will not miss a thing no matter what platform you follow us on. So it looks like we're about to get underway, Matthias, after that very interesting qualifying session. We finally have a race.
It's dry race.
Dry conditions.
Typical Cody's with the server issue. It is something for them. They did it quite a lot this year, but I think their servers are a bit overwhelmed by all the guys who are racing with the current situation, but almost a new game. Hopefully the game will fix their server issue. So Sam, the Red Bull driver for season 5, is going to tell us what's going on. He said, Matthias, can I be a pundit? I didn't know what's a pundit. And he said, and give my expert views on the driving and strategy because I know what's happening. Typical Matthias liking men. Why? Why is the movie started? Alex Bomberg, hello Adam and Matthias. Hello Alex.
Well, one thing that we can say to some people in the chat, of course, whilst we appreciate a bit of banter every now and then, please do keep it clean and as constructive as possible. We obviously don't appreciate any offensive language or connotations in the chat. So please keep it clean, guys. Please be respectful, be kind, and as we're about to set off on the formation lap, Matthias. So, as we see, we've got quite a mixed up grid, so it's going to create a lot of opportunities for some great racing today. It's a lovely day out in Hockenheim circuit, one of the more popular on the Formula 1 calendars. The 34 lap race is going to be plenty going on, Matthias. So, as we were saying before qualifying, which drivers in that field are you expecting to really shine today, and who do you think is in a great position perhaps to pick up a surprise result in qualifying?
I think Luke and Killers haven't really stood out in qualifying. They were the ones to set a lap time early in the session, and I think we see plausible, compassionate, ISD, Alex and some other guys doing really well in the race. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the first couple of laps. We don't have any crashes into turn 1. In the Tier 1 race last season we had a clean lap 1, but then we said everyone's clean to lap 1, and then we had the commentators curse with ball crashing. Why did they qualify on softs? I don't know. It was raining in qualifying and they wanted to set a good lap time in, and now it's compromising their strategy.
Well, this is our new pundit, Matthias. Obviously he should be able to tell us, shouldn't he?
Is it raining in the race? Probably not. The weather is quite clear.
Well, we don't know if there's going to be rain later on. Of course, we don't get updated with the weather forecast. The drivers will know. Of course, their strategist would have told them as they're about to line up for the grid. And of course, if you qualified on the soft tyres, that will benefit you being high up the grid. For example, 4 of the top 5 did laps on softer tyres, and it really helped them out, with the exception of Collie.
Boogity, let's go racing.
Guys, the drivers all lining up onto the grid now. We've got 34 laps of high-octane racing at Hockenheim in Germany. Make sure to turn up the volume, take your phone off the hook, leave the kids at Grandma's. Matthias, call off the lights.
Well, we still have to wait till the lights are on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and away we go. 2 guys gets a jump start. That is for Luke Burns, who ruins his P5 as Avesta has a bad start, and MS Compassion has LR Compassion had a jump start, so he has a drive-through penalty. It's the same for Luke, but Avesta gets clean off the line with Nick Pancras still behind him, and the 2 guys having a jump start as Plausible gets an absolutely flyer from P9 already up at the P5. Killer 7 has a bad start from the P3. He was in at the start of the race. Same for Roy Boy. Alex has a good start from P11 as Karim is still in P16. Headcamper back from P13 now to P17, and as there's a collision with Mikey, I think Mikey he has been spun around out of the hairpin.
Yeah, he got forced very, very wide, MDJ. But coming back to that earlier start, Matthias, of course, as you mentioned, 2 drivers jumping the start. Luke Burns jumping the start massively, that's why he's currently leading the race.
Was a drive-through as well. Sorry for interrupting you.
I was just about to say, and one of the McLarens has gone off. It's Killer 7 who's lost it at the edge of the stadium section, and it's completely put it in the wall.
Oh,
but he's managed to survive just about after that incident.
He had such a good quality, man. Oh no, already out of the points.
But Luke Burns has gone into the pits to serve his drive-through straight away. As you mentioned, Matthias, Plausible, the reason why he got such a good start off the line was because he had the drive-through, and of course, Compassion as well.
Karim as well. Oh no, Karim is changing tires and front wing, I think.
Yeah, so Luke Burns, Compassion and Plausible all serving a drive-through, so all that work that Luke Burns had done to get into 5th place is completely ruined it with that jump start. He'll be absolutely gutted, but nonetheless, it's Avesta who leads the race with Nick
Royboy going for the final podium to Alex. Alex trying to defend but can't hold Royboy off. Is he going to trail by him? We need to also watch his mirrors for Ice-T beat, or Ice-T who had a good start. Great starts from both of the Haas cars actually, P4 and P6 from... Also watch Lucas from P17 to P7 already made up 10 places. Detail, positions gained, Freeze made up 10 places, iQuicks made up 7. Jeep Jeff Boone, AK Alex made up 7, Royboy 3, Ice-T 5, Levy 6, and Ella Bjorn made up as well quite a lot of positions. In the opening, oh, there is some car. Oh, as Tier2 iQuicks, as I wanted to say, had a good start. He did a half spin into the last couple of corners. Avesta and Nick fucked themselves by qualifying themselves. Well, they actually did ruin their strategy, but it's their mistake, as Tier2 iQuicks has been overtaken by Headcamp, who rejoined quite strong after he made a bad start already up into the points. He lost a lot of positions in half a lap, and he now needs to watch his mirrors for Collie. Is he going for the big ballsy dive bomb? Yes, he is, but he's being screened off really by the Renault, as iQuicks tried to move into Björn's position, as he couldn't make the dive bomb stick because of the Renault being in his way. Björn now in 11th place, starting from last, locking up quite heavily into the mid of sector 2, as the two McLarens are a bit fighting away here and there, but Maya and Matthias is in front right now. Can he hold on to it? Can Alex maybe get his first podium of the season? It's early in the race. As he goes into the pit lane, has he got any damage or something like that, or is it just a really early stop onto the hard tires?
Yeah, a very interesting call from Alex there. It doesn't look like he's got any damage at all. Oh, he's serving a drive-through. So
why did he have
a drive-through?
Oh, so as well. Why is everyone with the thought has a good start has a drive-through penalty? Oh, there's the Ferrari of Tier2 iQuicks going into the wall, almost hitting his teammate.
Yeah, completely lost it coming out of turn 1 there, Tier2 iQuicks. And MDJ making a pit stop onto the harder tyres, as is Karen making another pit stop. Karen, not sure what's going on there. New front wing change for him.
Championship leader going to Luke. Is he going for the big bossy dive bomb? Yes, he is. He's going for it all the way down the hairpin on the hard tires. Makes it stick really clean. Does he get his triple overtake?
He might get free places.
Triple.
He might get free places. He does.
Amazing stuff right here. What an overtake.
Compassion is going to try and get back in him. Pleisurebolt's made a move, and Luke Burns is also making a move ahead of Collie up into 13th place. A good job from him. But what a move from Pleisurebol in a space of 2.5 corners. He's basically made up 3 positions.
Yeah, what a move.
Excellent stuff from the championship leader. And also to add pain to misery, Compassion on the medium tyres, the softer of the 2 compounds between them. Championship rival to Pleisurebol has also lost a place to him after passing Collie for 12 positions. So I tell you what, Compassion is not going to like that. Brilliant stuff from Pleisurebol, showing why he is the man at the moment, causing the absolute thunder in or having the absolute thunder in Formula EuroLeague 2 at the moment. Great stuff.
I'm going to call him the pundit. Sam, why? Yeah, he's the pundit. I don't know when I have to ask him. As Freeze is closing up to Levy. Levy is going for the dive bomb, really forcing him wide, the Dutchman, but he still hangs on to the track. Made the overtake stick for 5th place. Tier2 iQuicks 5-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane. As he's almost
just overtaken Pleisurebol, and Collie has also overtaken Luke Burns.
Oh no.
So Pleisurebol
going for it!
Oh, he's gone for it. He's gone very late, and a McLaren in front of him. Killer 7 has gone off. Where's he going to rejoin the track? Oh, and he's hit. Oh, he's gone straight into where Luke Burns is. I'll tell you what, Killer 7 needed to be careful about where he rejoins the circuit, and that was certainly not safe there, hitting Luke Burns, but both of them able to continue without any
Nick Pankers into the pit lane. Early pit stop. Is it a regular stop? Is wood tire is going to the medium, he's going to the mediums.
Yeah, the softer tyres were not going to go very long into this race, so it looks like Nick Pankras is going to do a 2-stopper. The strategy normally should be medium to hards, and at the start of the race, guys, just to let you know, everyone had a free choice of tyre. As you can see, a lot of drivers started the race on medium or harder tyres. Avesta and Nick Pankras 2 in particular chose to start on the softer compounds. They
Oh, you
may
had to
pay for
start
it
on the
later in
tires
race.
you set at your lap on, I think.
Well, originally yes, but a lot of the drivers had their own choice of tyres. They didn't start the race
Then
on
they
the
get a
tyre they
disquali.
qualified.
Then they get a disquali. It was said in official chat as Compassion is going for the dive bomb into P9 into the hairpin. Plausible stucks behind him in after the exit of the hairpin. Can he maybe try to re-overtake him where he tried to re-overtake him earlier on? No, he sticks him behind. As Hetkamper and Björn are fighting in front of them. And now it's a bit of a train starting to form between 4 different teams. So Okoli got a bit wide on the exit and now entering the stadium section. TTI quits all the way down into last place.
So we're now 7 laps in. Avesta Racing still in the lead, still has a 4-second gap to Roy Boy in second place on the medium tyres. Ice-T up into 3rd position after qualifying in the top 10th position. He's done a very good job to get up there. FEL Freeze come from nowhere all the way up into 4th position, doing a good job. Levi Volgalar in 5th, Matty's Gamer 6th, Bjorn from last in 7th position, the leading hard tyre runner with Hetkamper, Compassion and Plajabol completing the top 10 at the moment, and Plajabol and Compassion dicing their way through the field. The 2 championship leaders sticking very close together, already having a battle between the 2 of them.
Hetkamper going for it. Bit of wheel banging, losing lots of momentum there. Is it going to be compromised by the exit of Compassion? Is Compassion going for it? Good camera shot.
Yeah,
he's
great
still behind.
There,
yeah.
Very,
going on the outside. Oh no, Hetkamper has been spun round.
Well, it looks like Hetkamper lost that on his own there. Oh, he's been hit.
Luke Burns
is driven into the back of him. Oh, what a shame for Luke Burns. He's absolutely rammed into the back of him. And his race has just got from bad to worse for him now. That is not what he would have wanted after getting a drive
the pit
through.
leaders into the pit lane. Luckily Plausible didn't get any damage from that as he completely hit the Torosso of Danny Hetkamper. Vest going to rejoin just about into P9.
On the medium tyre, so Vesta's going to be 2-stopping as well by the looks of it. And interestingly enough, has got himself out behind Compassion and Plausible. So that is where Vesta is currently going to be on the track. So maybe he's going to start to regret starting the race on the softer tyres now, because everybody ahead of him is going to have 1 stop. So he is currently from the lead now down into 9th position. So he's going to have some overtaking to do, but he's got a fresh set of medium tyres. So hopefully for him, he should be able to use those to his advantage and try and climb up the order. But it certainly won't be easy because there's quite an illustrious group of drivers ahead of him at the moment. Plenty of racing to go in this race. It's starting to get very interesting. But go back to that incident with Hetkamper. It looked like he completely lost it as he was
Collie spun on his own. He lost a lot of positions to rejoining really unsafe. Yeah.
Yeah, so those tyres are going to be really hot right now, so there's going to be literally no grip, so he's going to have to nurse them to get them back into a working temperature before he can start, as you can see, going very slowly now. This is the problem with these tyres. When they get very hot, you get very slippery, and you have to really cool them down.
Oh, they're going side by side into turn 1. Jesus, that's an opportunistic move by Compassion, but he makes it stick. He made it stick. Yeah, as Plausible still is really close behind him. He probably is getting the double slipstream, so look how close he is to the back of the Renault.
Oh, and Bjorn's gone to the inside now to try and use DRS and slipstream and Compassion to help propel him along. And it's going to allow him to get there 3 wide. Oh, this is going to be very, very tight between them. With Compassion sticking to the inside, Plausible going to get the best run of all of them, hopefully, but he's stuck behind Bjorn, and he just cannot find a way through. But somehow the 3 of them managing to stay together, but now it's going to go through the fast right-hander into turn 7, now to turn 8, hard on the brakes. Who's going to get through? Compassion, Bjorn and Plausible all sticking together. It literally cannot be any closer without contact. It's excellent stuff between the 3 of them. Great racing.
Great respect between the 3 drivers as they are following each other. As mediums, and I think that he's going to make it to the end.
Well, it seems like we're having a few technical difficulties, guys. Can't quite hear the tyres on my side. Hopefully we can for you guys, so do apologise for that. But as we progress on, as I say, we've got the battle continuing for 6th, 7th and 8th place now. But Bjorn trying to fend off Pleasurable in the Renault. You've got Pleasurable alongside him. He's going to pull alongside him on the right-hand side. No, he doesn't. But Bjorn opens the door for him on the outside. Where's this going to be? Compassion brakes very hard. That could compromise Bjorn. Pleasurable cannot find a way through. It's almost that Renault has parked his car right in front of him now. What is he going to do? Coming up to turn number 8. This time he doesn't go for it. He tucks in behind him. This is the interesting part of the race now. We're starting to see the transition for the medium tyres. One's had the upper hand, but they're going to start to fall away a bit, and that's going to allow Pleasurable on the harder compound tyres to really reel them in. Of course, he's got more running to do at the moment before he makes his pit stop, so it's going to be a while for him, but so does Bjorn. Both of them on the exact same strategy at the moment. Of course, further down the order, Vesta had a bit of an incident, struggling as he spun out, so he's fallen down into 12th position at the moment. Not what he wanted to do, but coming back to the battle between Bjorn and Pleasurable. Pleasurable gets a time penalty for cutting turn 1, but as a result, he's got a great run. He's going to be able to make that move, and he does, up into 7th place. Comes across Bjorn's line, hard on the brakes, and a great move from him. But of course, and he's got a bit squirmish on the exit there. So now he's going to have that long run down through turn 5 with DRS for Bjorn. Is Bjorn going to get it back into the hairpin? Is he going to dive through? He goes to the left-hand side to attack him, as Pleasurable sticks to the inside to defend and will hold on to that place. But will he get the switch back? No, Bjorn is not able to get the switch back on him, as Pleasurable looks like he might have got that move done once and for all.
Can you hear me, Adam? Because
I can hear you now. Okay.
So it's with microphone. I don't know what, but yeah, Vesta spun. So the race leader now. Karam had an accident.
Yeah, Karam's had an incident as well. And, it looks like he's going to be out
first
of
retirement.
the race.
Look how fast putting away from LR. Well, as a Vesta Racing.
So apologies, guys. We're still having those few technical difficulties at the moment, and so Killer 7 currently running in 15th position at the moment. Quite interesting to see, but he is out of the session. He is running through ghosting, I believe, according to the chat. Nick Genius has mentioned saying Killer 7 got kicked for choosing the wrong tyres. Not sure if that's a joke or not, because Killer 7 is sort of coming back and forth, joining and rejoining, so we'll have to keep an eye on what he's doing at the moment. Of course, but apparently the drivers were instructed to choose the tyres that they set their times in qualifying on for the race. I don't believe everybody did that, so we'll have to have a look later on. The stewards will have to have a look to see which drivers actually did follow that rule and which of them did not. Nonetheless, we'll carry on as we go along, but of course, Ice-T leading the race now. He's got ahead of Roy Boy, importantly now, so we'll have to wait and see how much longer these medium tyres can hold out for. Of course, these guys will most likely be pitting onto the harder tyres for their second stint. Of course, the second half of this race will get very, very interesting, with Roy Boy doing a very, very good job in second position now. These two starting a bit further down the order, but definitely leading the race at the moment. FEL3 started at the back of the grid. Third position, doing a brilliant job. The upper mayor, Matthias Gamer, of course, as well, in 4th position at the moment. Leffy Vogelar in his first race for the Haas team doing a good job in 5th, and then of course you've got the championship leaders in Compassion and Pleasurable 6th and 7th respectively, and Nick Pancras moving up into 8th position, passing Bjorn, who's just got a time penalty, add misery to his pain. So those harder tyres, he's really started to struggle on those, as Nick Pancras, one of the earlier stoppers in this race, on the softer tyres, now onto the mediums. But of course, let's not forget, Nick Pancras will most likely have to stop again.
Yeah, can you hear me now good, Adam? Because my...
I can hear you,
yeah.
So we'll just have to carry on. So apologies guys for the technical difficulties, but it looks like we're back again,
my
as we were before.
The whole thing has gone to heaven. I am now working with my Apple ears, my Apple earbuds. So sorry if the quality isn't that good. Sorry, have to do it temporarily like this. But as you said, Nick Pancras might need to pit again, as now the race lead is going to switch by Royboy overtaking Ice-T Beats. Still not used to his new name. He made the overtake stick. Probably Ice is going to try and do the switch back on him. Can't really make it stick. So Royboy is now into the lead of the Grand Prix. Where are another cars?
It's a bit of a ding-dong battle between those two at the moment, because Royboy obviously was overtaken by Ice-T on the previous lap, but he's managed to get back at him, and it's good to see, you know, Royboy really sticking it in there. Of course, these two battling for the outright race lead at the moment. Ice-T starting all the way down in 10th position, currently looking like he's in contention to win this race, but Royboy in the racing point, not letting him have it all his own way at the moment, doing a great job, and it'll be interesting to see how long these guys will continue to stay out for before they make their pit stop. At the moment, they're in a pretty good position at the moment, seem relatively comfortable in the lead at the moment. Of course, FEL3 starting at the back of the grid, a few seconds back from those two, doing a brilliant job for Alfa Romeo up into 3rd position. Matthias Gamer in 4th position, chasing him hard, and you've got Levi Vogelar and Pleijebol, who has overtaken Compassion in 6th position. So Pleijebol now up into 6th place, so it looks like, Matthias, that transition period where the medium tyres are starting to fall away now, the harder tyre runners are starting to have the advantage at the moment. So the harder tyre runners seem to start to have better tyres at the moment, and now Compassion really needs to try and stick with it with Pleijebol before putting on a new set of tyres. Sorry, Matthias, you were saying?
Matthias is now battling with he is now battling pretty hard with FEL3s for the last and final podium spot. We're almost halfway through the Grand Prix, but they are still battling really hard for the final podium spot. TTVI Quicks retired from the session, so something must have happened there. Pleijebol is really close to the back of Levi Vogelaar.
As Vogelar dives into the pits, probably sensible for him. Minimises the amount of time that he will lose, and he'll put on a set of hard tyres. But Pleijebol really starting to feel the groove in those harder tyres, as Luke Burns' race getting from bad to... Sorry, not Luke Burns, that was FEL3s. I do beg your pardon. FEL3s losing it out of turn 1, spinning it there, ghosted, so I thought that was a lap car. I thought it was his teammate, but FEL3s has completely lost it, and he was running in 3rd position when he did that. Didn't see what happened there between him and Matthias Gamer, but both of them, interestingly, should say, Matthias, him and Matthias Gamer both going off. Actually, no, not Matthias Gamer, sorry, he pitted. Also, FEL3s went off on his own. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. Matthias Gamer having the pit stop, so he's okay, but FEL3s completely losing it out of turn 1, and has dropped all the way down to 7, which promotes Pleijebol up into 3rd position, with Compassion following closely behind. So he's sticking with Pleijebol, not falling away too much as we expected. But at the moment, championship leader doing very nicely on those harder tyres. Of course, 8 seconds behind the leading 2 cars, Royboy and Ice-T, who have just gone into the pit lane for 1st and 2nd respectively. So now Ice-T gets a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Rookie error.
As well.
Compassion will also pit, which now frees Pleijebol into the lead. Nick Pancras, interestingly as well, on the medium tyres after that earlier stop, will now be moving ahead of them. Bjorn in 3rd position on the harder tyres as well. Nick Pancras will have to stop again right now, so the likes of Bjorn, Royboy, Ice-T, Matthias Gamer be very happy to know that Nick Pancras is still within range of them. But Pleijebol, as an oftenly common sight that we've seen this season, is now back into the lead of the race. Started well down the order from where we normally would have been on the harder tyres, but it's starting to come to his way now. But he's got work to do, still got a stop to make, but he's going to be very fast when he will most likely put on the medium tyres towards the end of the race. Of course, if he's able to make those tyres go long enough and fast enough, there's no reason, Matthias, why he can't put the softer tyres on.
Yeah, he has to pit one more time, but as you said, he maybe can even push to like lap 24, 25, 26. Then you can easily pit for the softs and have a good run on them. Interesting to see what he'll do. He's now quite 5 seconds clear into the lead. He'll probably rejoin quite far back, but the pit lane is quite short here in Germany. 17 seconds I think it will take to make a pit stop. As Compassion is all the way down to the back of Headcamper. As Headcamper is trying to do the defensive line into turn 1.
And this is going to really compromise Compassion because he's trying to get the undercut on Pliable and build a bit of a gap because he's going to need it when Pliable puts on faster tyres. And Headcamper is doing his Red Bull counterpart no favours whatsoever. So clearly no instructions from Red Bull and Toro Rosso to move their drivers out of the way, as now Compassion going to the outside, has the speed, has the DRS. Surely
for it.
will have the decision, but Headcamper leaves it on the inside. They bang wheels, and to be honest, to Headcamper, I think Headcamper really should have let that one go. He doesn't. As a result, Levi Volgalar in the Huss, who's doing a stellar job in his first race for the Huss team, moves up into 8th place as well. Of course, he's on the harder tyres too, so he's going to the end. But of course, for Pliable, still maintaining that gap to Nick Pancras on the medium tyres, whose medium tyres may start to be falling away as well. So he's going to need to consider his next stop. Of course, for Nick Pancras will most likely put on another set of mediums again. And Bjorn comes into the pits now, as does Pliable. So Pliable will put on the medium tyres now, and those will see him to the end. So where will he come out when this all fades out? Where will Pliable come out? Looking for Compassion. Compassion goes through turn 1 at a full rate of knots, and he is ahead of Pliable, who crucially manages to stay ahead of Levi Volgalar. Is Volgalar going to try and make a move? He's going to have the DRS, but so is Pliable. Pliable will have the DRS of Compassion as well.
Pliable still lost the position to Compassion under the pit stops, but I think he's trying to regain the position ASAP. He is known for good attacking.
I tell you what, Levi Volgalar went for an absolute dive bomb on Pliable. Sorry to interrupt you there, Matthias. I'm not quite sure why Volgalar really went for that. It wasn't really on. It's gone into Pliable. Thankfully for both of them, they don't seem to have much damage. So that has a compromise. Just as Pliable come out, the last thing he would have wanted was to be hit by someone else. But Pliable, fortunately, still able to carry on as normal, and he's now already getting after Compassion. Those medium tyres have warmed up very nicely for him, and he's going to have to try and get this move done because he's got to hunt down the leaders now.
I didn't even see Levi going for it. I'm quite weird, as Compassion is really being hunted down by Pliable on those new medium tyres. Is he going for it already? No, he tucks him behind for the DRS on a long straight. What can he do? Can he maybe make an easy peasy?
Which right all over the back of him, and he opens up the inside. Compassion goes to the inside to defend, but I don't think he's going to be able to defend that. Pliable just drives right past him. But it's such a long straight. Pliable's now going to have to defend into the hairpin, but Compassion knows when he's beaten. You can tell an experienced driver knows when to fight and when to give up the ghost, and he knows his race most likely is not with Pliable now. Pliable moves into 5th position, is now 3 seconds behind Mattis Gamer. He's got 3 cars to pass. There's about 6 seconds between Roy Boy in 2nd and Pliable, and Roy Boy effectively the race leader at the moment because he's catching Nick Pancras, who has got to stop again for those medium tyres right now. So Pliable, very much the man on the move, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can catch the leaders and potentially win this race from an unfeasible position. So called it there to Nick Pancras pits. Most likely will put on another set of medium tyres to go to the end of this race, and he does, which will now free Pliable and Compassion and Volgalar up into 4th, 5th and 6th positions respectively. And Nick Pancras, where will he feed out? He's got LR Bjorn alongside him, who overtakes him. Jaffa Baboon with another time penalty for him, so his race is not exactly gone well today. But now it's going to start to get very interesting now, Matthias, because we've got Roy Boy, Ice-T, Mattis Gamer, all on the hard tyres going to the end, all within 5 seconds of each other. But as you can see, in the background, you've got Pliable and Compassion in 4th and 5th position, and particularly Pliable with the pace, with the tyres, looking like, in my mind, the favourite to win this race now, to hold in the leaders. He's got the best part of 13.5 laps to catch and pass the top 3 Do you think he can do it? Do you think he can win this race, Matthias?
I think he can. He's a really he's a really good fast driver, and I think he's sure he can if he wants to. First ahead is Matthias Gamer, who is also on the hard is on the hard tires. The same, he pitted on the same lap as the leader, so 5 lap old hard. Sorry for the bit miss. For my disability to speak sometimes. As now we see Nick Pankras pushing to LR Björn. Nick Pankras was the leader of the race, not anymore. So what can he do? He is now pushing to the other Dutchman. I think Björn is a sitting duck right here. He's now on low ERS mode. Can he make it stick? He's now down the inside, braking really late compared to Björn. Björn trying to do the switch, but being cut off by the Red Bull by blocking his path. Is he going to fight back? We'll have to see and wait. If he's going for the dive, is he going for the no? He tucks in behind, and he stays in P8 as he lost 1 position to Nick Pankras, who is pushing to Levi Vogelaar to regain what his position was. And as we speak, Pluisbol is really closing up to Matthias already up into the DRS zone of him, so he will be quite soon on the podium. How can you catch up to somebody like that fast? Probably because he has fresher tires. He is now on the big DRS straight. What can he do?
Well, Mattis Game is going to have to fight for all his life. Which side he's going to go? He's stuck to the middle of the road, really. He's got left and right. I'll tell you what, that's. I mean, the defensive drive from Mattis Game are very dangerous there. Really needs to pick a line rather than park it in the middle of the track there. Pluisbol just about avoiding it, went left and then went right, just like Sebastian Vettel did in the Spanish Grand Prix a couple of years ago with Valtteri Bottas. And Pluisbol, like Vettel, make that move stick. Of course, Sebastian Vettel not staying with the Ferrari team at the end of the 2020 season. Huge bombshell ramifications, but this time his Ferrari counterpart Pluisbol, great move there. I've got to say, that defensive driver from Mattis Gamer, you've got to be careful like that. You can't put it in the middle of the road like that. And then when he did, he just seemed to move one way and then the other. Pluisbol, very great, good reactions from him to avoid colliding with the back of the McLaren. Thankfully, on this occasion, there wasn't an accident. But I've seen Leicester drivers have incidents like that when that sort of defensive driving is adopted. But Pluisbol really on the move now. And it's important to note, Matthias, with penalties, I was just having a look through them. Roy Boy, amazingly, has got no penalties but no warnings as well. So he's been a very good boy in this race, Roy Boy. As well as being fast, he's been very well behaved. So great job. IST has a time penalty for speeding in a pit lane. Pluisbol has a couple of penalties as well. So Pluisbol, interestingly, not only will have to pass the leaders, he will have to build up, I believe, a 3 or 6 second gap to Roy Boy in order to make sure that he can hold on to the win, of course, if he finishes in first position. Mattis Gamer also has a few penalties as well. Compassion, just having a quick look at him as well. Compassion had a drive through at the start of the race. He's also got a penalty as well. So Compassion also has a penalty. So it's going to be interesting to see how this final order. But right now, as I was saying, I thought Pluisbol might be the favourite, but it's got to be advantage Roy Boy at the moment. As long as he can keep those hard tyres going and keep his pace up, Roy Boy could get his first win of the season in Formula Euro League 2. We could have our 4th winner.
Ooh. As you speak, Nick Pankras is really close to the back of Levi Vogelaar. What can he do? Can he make an overtake in the upcoming lap? He is being quite held up by him as he's on the medium tires, who is faster and newer than Levi's tires. I think Levi's going to be a bit of a sitting duck here in this straight.
Yeah, he's done a good job so far, but he seems being on the harder tyres, although he should have plenty of grip there, Vogelaar. It's definitely the medium tyres the way to go at the moment, as you can see. And also, interestingly, Bjorn following Nick Pankras on the inside there. Is he going to go for a move? It's going to be 3 wide. Vogelaar goes very deep into the hairpin, a bit too deep than you need to go, and he's going to lose 2 places as a result of that. Bjorn and Nick Pancras on fresher, softer tyres with much better traction. Both move ahead, but Bjorn now is going to go for a dive bomb at the inside. He's going to make that stick. No, he does not. Nick Pancras brakes late enough to hold on to that position. So excellent driving from Nick Pancras and Bjorn to take 6th and 7th positions. And Bolgalar now moving down into 8th. So such a shame for him. But if he keeps his head down and keeps his pace up, he'll be able to score points in this race. He'll do pretty well today.
Yeah, Pluis already into the DRS of Ice-T. Ice-T falling a bit back to Royboy. Royboy 0 penalties, as you said, as he's being a good boy so far. Now Pluis really close to Ice-T. Is he going to already make the overtake today? He is in the DRS, victory, everything down the inside of the corner right now, but now he has the outside, switches to the inside, covers him up quite good, a good defensive move at the end, and a good overtake.
Well, I think Ice-T is experienced enough to know, again, as Compassion did before, really, there's no point trying to fight Plajabol with much fresher tyres, and of course Ice-T has penalties, so he needs to make sure that he finishes with the fastest race time possible, and I think he knows that Plajabol is a man on the mission at the moment. There's no way he's going to be able to beat him today unless he sticks to his task and hope for penalties later on to help him out. But Plajabol, good move from him. Similar move to what he did to Matthias Gamer, only this time it was much easier as Ice-T stuck to his line to defend. And now Plajabol less than a second behind Royboy. He is absolutely flying at the moment, and he has to be. If Plajabol's going to win this race, he has to be, because Royboy has got the advantage of not getting penalties. Royboy, as they're saying in the chat, Nick Genius saying what a good boy Royboy is. Yep, absolutely. And I think Royboy knows if he's going to win this race, that is going to be his way to do it. But is he going to defend now? As Plajabol on board with him now, he's got the DRS, he's following right behind. You'll see how powerful the toe is, and that Ferrari engine really into top gear, using all the energy he can muster. Late on the brakes, but he goes into the back of Royboy there, Plajabol. A bit late on the brakes, a bit naughty there from Plajabol. Hits Royboy, but the line is third. Royboy defending that position for all its might, clearly not going to give it to Plajabol. Leaves him hung out to try on the outside. They bang wheels again. But Royboy managing to hold on to the lead, so very good defensive driving from Royboy, planting that racer point exactly where it needs to be in order to stay in the lead. Is now flying to the stadium section there. Plajabol going a little bit wide there onto the AstroTurf, manages to keep it on the road now as he follows right behind him. Nowhere to overtake on this occasion as we're about to enter lap 28 of 34, guys. This is where it starts to get very interesting as Plajabol goes very wide there on the double apex. Will cost him a little bit of time. Only half a second separates the top two. This is where the race really starts to hot up now. Who do you think is going to win, guys? Place your bets. Is it going to be Plajabol? Is it going to be Royboy? An absolutely great point. Plajabol does have damage. He's lost that front right end plate on his Ferrari after that collision with Royboy on the previous lap, all by his own doing. But it's take two now. Can Plajabol close all the way up to Royboy? And I tell you what, Matthias, that front right end plate that Plajabol has lost, and he's so much later on the brakes and the hairpin than Royboy is, that could be the difference between winning this race and not winning this race. He may have lost the pace advantage that he had to try and stretch out the gap. Don't forget, guys, not only does Plajabol need to overtake Royboy, he also needs to build up a gap, I'd say of around 6 seconds, I believe it is, in order to win this race, because Royboy does not have any penalties.
Yeah, only 6 laps to go, so he has to overtake him and build a 3 or 6 second gap, as you said. I don't know if it's going to work out for him. He has damage, so he has the disadvantage in sector 3 with the stadium section. So have to wait and see what he can do. Now coming on to the start of sector 2 already. Sector 1 is a really short one. Is he going to try it again into the hairpin? Yes, I think he's really close to the gearbox of the Royboy of the Racing Point. Switch to the left hand side. He is now in front. Covers him off quite good. Is he going to make the overtake stick? Royboy is trying to do a bit of a switchback, I think. And he made
Pleasurable so much
stick.
better on the brakes.
Yeah.
So much better on the brakes there, Pleasurable. This has been for the last couple of laps, and he's made that move stick really, really well indeed, and he's now up into the lead. But of course, it's now a race against time. Pleasurable, with only 5.5 laps left to go, now has to stretch out a lead. Now, of course, it might be 3 seconds, it might be 6 seconds. Of course, Pleasurable had a drive-through earlier. The race director saying he's got 2 penalties, of course. I'm not sure if he served one of those, we'll have to wait and see, but right now, Pleasurable knows he has to get his head down, he has to stretch a gap if he's going to win this race. Of course, Roy Boy's task is a little bit more straightforward. Stay as close as you can to that Ferrari, do not let it get out of your sight. Could Roy Boy stay within the DRS of Pleasurable? If he can, he'll have this race wrapped up. It's just so exciting, guys.
Yeah.
Not sure who's going to win this race. It's on a knife edge at the moment in this German Grand Prix Formula Euroleague
right.
Tier 2, and of course
he is still in the DRS, but I think if Pleasurable wouldn't have any damage, he probably would have driven away, but he still needs to can't get into the word. I can't find the word.
well, of course, it's critical. Yes, as you said, Pleasurable would have driven away without the damage, and it's really going to compromise him because he's lost a lot of front-end downforce for that end plate. It might only be a small part, but it really does affect performance. You're losing at least a couple of tenths a lap on a track like Germany with a lot of high-speed corners. You really do feel it at the front end of your car. And as I said before, Roy Boy doing the exact job that he needs to do, running very close to Pleasurable, using the DRS to close right up to the back of the Ferrari, and right now Roy Boy doing exactly what he needs to do to make sure that he wins this race. Of course, another thing to mention, Pleasurable on the medium tyres, they're going to start to fade away, so it's all starting to becoming more of an uphill battle for Pleasurable to hold on to this lead. He may be first across the line, but he certainly isn't looking like he's going to win the race. And of course, Ice-T himself a few penalties as well, so it looks like it's going to be one of these two. Roy Boy right away. Is Roy Boy going to attack Pleasurable? Of course, he's leading the race outright, but he might want the bragging rights to cross the line first. Roy Boy, what an opportunity for him to get his first win in Formula Euroleague. Is he going to attack Pleasurable? No, he sticks with him. He knows better for now. This is a yellow flag. Of course, the two McLarens trying to sort themselves out, with Killer 7 trying to unlap himself at the moment. Fastest man on the track with the fastest lap last time round on the softer tyres. And Compassion and Nick Pancras, two Red Bulls in 5th and 6th position. Nick Pancras overtaking Bjorn there for 6th place. And Levi Volgalar doing a great job in 8th position as well, Matthias, keeping FEL Freeze behind him, who started at the very back of the grid. And Jaffa Baboon completing the top 10 for Haas. So boy, this is really exciting stuff right now.
2 laps to go. I think Robo is just going to win it, or Pleasurable need to put in a mega performance in 2 laps.
Well, Roy Boy doing a brilliant job so far at the moment. Only currently running in 12th position in the Drivers' Championship before Will was turning Racing Point 8th in the Constructors' Championship. Boy, would they have not imagined in their wildest dreams to be in a position where they could win a Grand Prix in Formula Euroleague, which will catapult them up the order against Pleasurable. Roy Boy showing his pace today and doing a fantastic job at the moment. Must be said, what a crazy race it's been. It's absolutely flown by. You can see Jay Fletcher in the chat literally cheering on Roy Boy, asking do not hit that curb. And
Lucas going for the big bossy dive bomb on Levy. Sorry for not focusing on that battle, but can't really stuck in behind him.
So yeah, FEL Freeze trying to make the move into 8th position. Now just a few laps to go, but yeah, Matthias, if you're Roy Boy and put yourself in this position because of your race yesterday, what must Roy Boy be feeling in this position? Forget the nosebleed, but being so far up the order, he must be absolutely sweating in that cockpit. He is so close to achieving glory, something he probably never imagined he'd be being anywhere near when he woke up this morning.
Well, same for me yesterday. I thought just keep him with the gap of his penalties and then you'll be fine, and don't get any penalties by yourself. So even I think he's going for the move right now, as he's been having a really lovely exit now down the inside of the hairpin, puts his nose there, that covers him off quite good as...
It's hard on the brakes, locks his brakes,
Yeah.
Pleasurebol's got the exit, but he got to the back of it. This is brilliant stuff from Roy Boy, and as you said, Roy Boy takes the lead. Incredible stuff. He doesn't just want to win this race through penalties, he wants to win it on the track, and Pleasurebol getting increasingly frustrated, almost going into the back of it again, trying to overtake Roy Boy. You can see his chances of winning fading away.
Yeah.
Just like his front wing end plate did, and Roy Boy retakes the lead on the circuit. What an incredible drive from him. Needless to say, who I think my driver of the day is going to be. Clearly Roy Boy.
Yeah,
what a drive from him today. Brilliant stuff. And of course, Pleasurebol is now down for 15. But it's the final lap, guys. Roy Boy a lap away from greatness, from being put down in the archives for former Euro League. A guy who probably woke up this morning
as
Ice-T's retired.
No! On the last lap, my man. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's lost it out of turn one, completely spun it. What a time to do that. What a shame for Ice-T, but that promotes Matty's Gamer up into the top 3 now. As Pleasurebol, he's going to go for a dive. No, he doesn't.
Contact.
He's sort of half committed for the dive, but he punted Roy Boy. To be honest, I think he's probably going to have to let him through, Pleasurebol, but he's not doing that, Pleasurebol. He's trying to overtake him. And I'll tell you what, is Roy Boy going to go for a move around the inside now to try and get back at him? He's got to be careful.
What a battle.
What a battle. Roy Boy's got to be careful, because if he makes a mistake and spins the car, he doesn't need to fight Pleasurebol. He doesn't need to fight Pleasurebol. He's got this win done. If he sticks to it now, comes to the status set, and I'll tell you what, not impressed with Pleasurebol there. Punts in the back of Roy Boy to get that move done. He should have really let him back through to be spotted, but it's not going to matter as Pleasurebol goes through the corner to lead on the track. But Roy Boy will get the win through penalties. Excellent job from Roy Boy. Didn't cross the line first, although in fairness he probably should have been allowed to after that, but it doesn't matter to him. He's got the win. Compassion third after penalties for Matty's Gamer as Pleasurebol gets second position. Excellent drive from Pleasurebol. A bit naughty at the end to cross the line first in the way that he did, but nonetheless, Roy Boy, an excellent job from him. And of course, further down the order, Levi Volkalar on his debut for Haas. Excellent drive for 5th. Nick Pancras 6th for Red Bull, getting a double points finish following his impressive drive. The strategy was not on his side today. Bjorn in 7th in the Renault. The only point scorer after Ice-T completely bended on the final lap. FEL Freeze 8th after starting last. Great drive from Colin 9th. And Jaffa Baboon once again getting in the points, completing the top 10. MDJ 11th. As Avesta Racing gets the fastest lap on the final lap, however, will not get a bonus point for finishing outside the top 10. And Luke Burns, well,
not a 12.
At 13th position, he will finish just as he did in the US Grand Prix. Such a nightmare race for him. Everything that could have gone wrong for him in the race did, and he will come home to finish in 13th. But Matthias, what a race. A drive. What a race. What a drive from Roy Boy. Absolutely incredible stuff.
Yeah.
It's been some time since I've seen a drive as good as that. An all-Dutch podium once again. A man who woke up this morning probably never thought he'd get on the podium, but he's done one better than that. He's got the race win. It's your race winner for the German Grand Prix of Formula EuroLeague Tier 2. It is Roy Boy for Racing Point. What a drive. He took it to the championship leader, Pleasurebol, who, to his fairness, was a bit over-aggressive there with that move to get overtake at the final lap, but it doesn't matter. He gets the race win. Compassion, third position for him, but will drop points to Pleasurebol in the championship leader. So Matthias, round up the top 10.
Yeah, as Roy Boy wins his first Grand Prix in Formula EuroLeague, Pleasurebol gets home in second after a good recovery from P9. Compassion in P3 after some penalties from some guys. Matthias in a strong P4 after starting P13. Levi Vogelaar on a really strong debut after starting P12. Nick Pancras falling down the order P6. Björn in P7, Fries in P8, Coley P9, Alex rounding off the top 10 in 10th place, Mikey in 11th, Avesta after starting on pole, all the way down to 12th place, Luke Burns in 13th, and the DNFs Ice, the Killer 7, Headcamper, iQuicks and Karam. What a race we had.
That was an excellent race, Matthias. I mean, as I said, driver of the day for me has to be Roy Boy. I imagine he must be absolutely delighted with that performance. I'm certainly thrilled for him. It's great to see fairy tale stories almost like that in Formula EuroLeague. That is exactly what it's all about, and of course, great to see some of the other drivers really taking it to Pleasurable, who does extend his lead in the championship, it must be said. So he's done a great drive himself to get into second place from an untenable position, as I said, but what a drive. What a brilliant race that was, guys. And of course, if you enjoyed that, make sure to let us know. Of course, if you're watching us on Twitch, make sure to follow the page. That's twitch.tv/Formula_Euro_League. And if, of course, you're watching the video on YouTube a couple of days later, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notifications button as well to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And
Yeah.
What an incredible race that was. Of course, let's not forget, guys, we've got the race coming later tonight for the top division of Formula EuroLeague Season 5. Will get underway at Australia in Melbourne for the first race of the season. That gets in at 6:45 UK time, 7:45 European time, guys. Make sure to tune in for that race, and that is live on the Twitch channel for Formula EuroLeague, as mentioned before, and of course will be on the YouTube channel in the coming days. So, Matthias, final thoughts before we sign off?
Really good race, lots of good battles. Got a bit like Britain this season, flashbacks with battling on the last lap where Collie spun, but still won the Grand Prix. Was plausible. I don't know, a really good race. Can't really describe. The Hockenheim ring makes us proud. Make us proud.
Yeah, front up another great race, guys, and make sure to tune in tonight. But until then, make sure to join us for the next Formula EuroLeague race, which is, of course, this time next week in China at the Shanghai International Circuit. So make sure to join us for that race. And until then, I've been Adam Burns, and of course, thank you once again, Matthias, for hosting another great race. And we will see you in the next Formula EuroLeague Tier 2 race. Take care.
Have a good day.